We have arrived. Week 1 of the 2023 season is upon us. We're here for the biggest preview of them all, going game by game for the first week of the MLS season. It's one of my favorite times of year. Hope springs eternal, as we have said, for every single team that is still alive. And to talk us through it all is the legend, as Matt Doyle said last time, the GOAT, El Cabro, Michele Giannone. What's up, Michele?
Wow, you butchered that.
Did I?
It's La Cabra.
But you're not a female.
It doesn't matter.
I gotta get the gender thing down. The gender thing is chaos for me. I thought that would make me calling you a female goat, so I went with the masculine version of it. But goat is just a female word on its own. We're doing a full Spanish lesson now.
Yeah. What happened with the other thing you told me you were going to do?
What?
Feliz.
I did.
Oh, I didn't hear.
I wrote it in the title.
Feliz Semana Uno, the Major League Soccer. It's crazy that we're here. It doesn't feel real still.
No. Well, that's there's a portion of complaints about your employer, which we won't go into now because you're here, and I'm glad you're here. I'll do that later on Blue Sky.
I feel weird now because I feel like I'm like part of the empire.
You're the Death Star. Yeah, that's right. No, but Kelly, you are our shining light at all times, so you never have to worry about that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a good break. A cold break. I survived my first winter on the Northeast.
In like the worst winter in 45 years.
I picked a good year to move to the Northeast, the worst winter in like 2 decades.
Yeah.
I can still see, I'm seeing out of the window and still see the mountains of ice still not melt. And we're supposed to get more snow from Sunday to Monday.
I do have to tell you this, Michele. I did 5 miles last night because I'm on a running kick now. And it was a little steamy and humid. It was tough. So I get your pain. I feel it.
We'll see how it goes. Thankfully, the season starts, and that allows me to travel every weekend. And this weekend, I'm starting with Orlando, which is going to be hot and steamy. Yeah. But I cannot wait to put on shorts and T-shirts for the first time in 3 months.
So you are going to be on site every week. On Saturday, you're doing La Previa live on site, as well as sideline on the game to open up on Saturday evenings. As you said, Orlando Red Bulls this week for your first one. You get Michael Bradley's first game as a head coach in MLS. It's not a bad one to start on.
It's a great one. And with my Orlando City, the team that I love and get frustrated the most, and Papi Pareja, love to hate and hate to love.
Yeah.
And it's I remember the last time I think I was in here with you, Orlando City was falling off the playoff race in the East, and I had a rant and how frustrated I was with Oscar and the team, and I was right because they ended up missing up the playoffs, which was infuriating. But yeah, now within all the changes that Major League Soccer and Apple TV are doing this year, La Previa, which is the Spanish countdown show, is going to be on site every week, which is great. I love it. If you know me, and I've talked about this, doing sidelines and being in the stadium, it's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
If I can sign a lifetime contract to do sideline for the rest of my life, that's what I want to do. I struggled when I had to be in studio like the whole weekend. I loved it. We had a great thing, great crew. Yeah. But being in the stadium and being on the sideline, it's what I love the most. So every weekend, Ramses Sandoval, Miguel Gallardo, and I are going to do La Previa from stadium. Week 1 is going to be Orlando, New York Red Bulls. And then us three, because Ramses is one of the best play-by-play guys in the country, and Miguel also as an analyst. We're going to then, as soon as the show is over and the game starts, we're going to be calling that game. So we're going to be traveling all over the country. We're going to mostly in the East Coast, because La Previa is going to be every Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, to preview the whole week. Like this week 1, there's a couple games played earlier on Saturday, but La Previa is going to be exactly like it was in the last few years. nothing is going to change. We're just going to be on site instead of the studio. So, for example, this Saturday, obviously, we're going to talk about Orlando Red Bulls because that's where we're going to be. But we're going to have a segment dedicated for LAFC Miami. We're going to have a segment dedicated to other games. We're going to have a segment dedicated to the biggest signings this year. So, I cannot wait. I'm super excited. I'm blessed. I'm grateful for where I'm at. Another year here with MLS and Apple. And yeah, we don't know what's next year's gonna bring. So I'm just gonna enjoy this this year. And yeah, I'm bringing my golf clubs everywhere I go.
Nice.
Let's see if it. Oh, actually, week 2, Walmart, the new game that MLS is that Walmart showcase every Saturday. Which Weavy is going to be part with moving forward. Walmart and La Previa are going to merge week 2 for RSL Seattle. So if weather allows, we're going to be playing golf with my main Weavy in some beautiful Salt Lake City.
That's going to be Weavy's favorite part of the year.
So I'm really excited. I was in Dallas last weekend doing a preseason game that lasted just 5 minutes and 33 seconds between Dallas and Atlanta because of weather and lightning. And yeah,
good old Dallas.
I love Dallas. I love Dallas.
Well, I don't love Dallas. As a New Yorker, I'm like firmly against all of Texas. But
me too. But
the weather in Dallas is wild.
Like, right now, it's so nice. Right now, it's super nice. It rained that Saturday bit, but Friday and Saturday and Sunday was great.
Wind rolls through there, though. Not in the stadium because the stadium's built down. But when you're outside on the grounds, like when you go to training, obviously a lot of the youth stuff happens around
for sure.
there. It's like wild. But yeah, Dallas is a vibe for sure. We are excited to watch you. I'm excited for this show. We're going to dig into every game. I know you've got takes all across the league. I put my standings in officially at Kickback. We're going to publish a graphic with a bunch of the hosts putting out their predictions. So I'll sprinkle those in as we go because I realized on Monday or Tuesday I didn't actually say those. And I know you have yours as well because we were going through them in the pre-show. And this is the point of the year where I feel worst about them because a lot of the unknown teams, I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. So I'm going to put them down. And then it's like, well, wait, they might be unknown because they're interesting. So we're going to get to a bunch of that as we go through. So I have a timer on my computer. I'm going to set it to 4 minutes. I was going to say 3 minutes per game. Let's be real. There's zero chance me and you get through these things in 3 minutes. So I'm going to do 4 minutes, which means at 15 games, that would be an hour of content. Reminder, if you have not already, we have a preview video for almost every team. We're working on the last few. Those are on YouTube, available on demand as standalone videos with hosts from every single market about their team. So you can go watch those to get prepped. Me and Doyle did predictions on the last show. If you haven't listened to that yet, so we talked through Golden Boot, Defender of the Year, Fullback of the Year, Midfielder, all that type of stuff. We've done the Golden Boot draft already, and we've got some big announcements going on here at Kickback. So we have a new show that Susanna Fuller has launched that it just went up, which is going to be a conversation once or twice a month with some of the biggest sports personalities in the country who are not soccer specialists, but are soccer fans. So she did it with Charlotte Wilder of the Sports Gossip Show for this first one, who the Sports Gossip Show is one of the best things out there. Like, I'm obsessed with it. I follow it. I love it. Me and my wife talk about it all the time. You as well?
Yeah. I gotta say, I don't know Charlotte, but I love her.
I never met her.
I'm such a big fan. I'm so excited to watch it. I knew her when she started working at the Levatar show. So I'm a big fan of the Levatar show. And then she transitioned to what she's doing right now. Charlotte Wilder, I love you. Just want to, I know you're married, but I just want you to know that I love you. Working wise, your face, everything.
The coverage they did around Bill Belichick is wild, but it was fascinating and everything they've done.
It's such a good show.
And she's a soccer fan. They talked Boston Legacy coming in NWSL this year and all that other stuff. So that show officially just launched on the Kickback Committee feed. We have a show already this week with Brianna Pinto from her preseason in Spain. So go listen to those. And then our First Touch show, which we launched, which has we've got an episode about every team that's qualified for the World Cup. So 42 already up. We are transitioning into a weekly show about the World Cup. So our first episode launched today on that feed as well. So go listen to that one when you get a chance. We're going to do like a special story every week and then some new stuff. The special story was about the 1986 failed U.S. World Cup bid. So I hadn't realized this, but as NASL was struggling when Colombia dropped out of being able to host 86, that was NASL's sort of vision of, okay, let's get the World Cup. That will reboost interest, save the league, and that's how we'll advance soccer in the U.S. And they put together this failed bid that was like, it sounds like comedy of errors of just like didn't understand what was required, didn't understand what was needed. And of course, Mexico goes on to host it. Diego Maradona has the hand of God at the Azteca. Mexico will now be the third only country to host it 3 times. At the time, they were the first country to host it twice. All history I didn't know. So really, really good stuff that our producer Mara put together. And then a good segment with Alex Abnos, a good friend of both of ours at The Guardian, about a potential boycott of the World Cup and what will happen. That show will be coming out every week. I'm working on one about the Norwegian Golden Generation going forward. We've got a story about Brampton that we're working on. So a lot of fun stuff on that side of things as well. So go follow all of it. But now, Michele, we can jump in and talk a little MLS. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Clock is set for the first one. And
Not
we are
NBA?
on.
Oh,
so to start, for everyone to understand, I've said this a couple times, there are a lot more time windows now. So going into weekends, there's more chance to watch more games. The MLS season gets kicked off at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday with St. Louis hosting Charlotte. A bit of a curveball on all of that. I am so excited for day games. I am so excited for spread out schedules to be able to watch more games. These are 2 teams, one especially in St. Louis, that are bits unknown for me. Before we get started, I want to throw out from everyone here on our side, thoughts and prayers to Edward Leuven and his family. He talked about it again this week. His wife is battling brain cancer right now. It has been a huge factor, obviously, in his life over the last 2 years. We don't know how much soccer he will be available and play. It's not something we can really talk about from a soccer point of view, but it's obviously something going on with him and a huge factor with this team. Now, St. Louis has made an announcement. Sergio Cordova, or that maybe they haven't yet. Maybe it was just Tom official. Is this official?
I haven't heard.
Me neither. Okay, so Sergio Cordova, it sounds like, is going to join the team on loan. And Charlotte has extended Idan Toklamadi's contract. Michele, thoughts on these teams, this game?
Well, first of all, I want to join in saying how terrible I feel for Edward Leuven on the soccer pitch. When he's available to play, he's one of the best in the league, one of the best at his position. I love him, watching him play in Major League Soccer. I cannot fathom or even understand what's going through his head every day and just trying to live his life, work as a soccer player when you're dealing with that. So, it is an impossible situation, and hopefully we hope the best for him, his family, his wife. But it's really sad, and yeah, hopefully everything comes out well, because he's a great guy, and obviously we want the better for him. San Luis, Charlotte. San Luis, Sergio Cordova, if you want to start there, obviously they sold.
One of your fellow Venezuelans.
I mean, Cordova, it's been one of these youngsters that exploded when he was an under 20, and then he's been just making stops everywhere. I think we spoke about him a few years ago when his name first came up, when he signed for RSL, and he's a big physical guy. And when he burst in the scene with the U20 at the U20 World Cup, that Venezuela made it to a final,
right?
And if I'm not mistaken, they
beating
lost to England.
The US. Yeah, but they beat the US in the quarters or semi to get
and
there.
Cordova was the number 9 of that team.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember we talk about this, that he's a difficult player to project, because he's not your prototypical number 9, but he doesn't have the speed and the quality 1v1 to be play as a winger, for example, in Major League Soccer, right? So he's more of like a second striker, maybe like I don't know. He's and his numbers speaks from himself. He hasn't
Yeah.
found his place. He's bouncing around in different leagues, and he hasn't fulfilled that because he's not a number 9, but he's not a winger. He's not an attacking midfielder. So he needs to be on a team that knows how to use him, and I don't think he has found that yet. Hopefully, St. Louis can do that.
Yeah, I think for St. Louis, it's clearly what the front office took over is not ready to operate at the high level of here's how we're going to spend $12 million. And this is a stopgap of there's a guy on loan. He's looking for a spot. There are attributes with him that which is speed, size, right? So like, and his touch is fantastic for a guy his size. So there's things you're going to get. And I think from there, it's like, okay, if we can steal 5 to 8 goals out of him and he can fill this spot until we're ready to make the big João Klaus replacement, it makes sense. It's not exciting. And I think there's a little bit of a like wah as it comes at the end of an offseason where we're like, are they going to sign a DP9? Are they going to replace João Klaus and all of that? But clearly that's where this team sits. And in doing the previews, I realized how big of an improvement Mamadou Fall and Daniel Edelman are in a team of just making them solid, making them be a good pressing team. So I think there's reason to be excited for St. Louis fans if you're in the right mindset of like, all right, let's be scrappy, let's be fun a little bit this year and build something that can be better going forward. And if that's the mindset those fans take, I think they're in an okay spot. On the flip side for Charlotte, there should be big expectations. So I had them 5th in my preseason standings in the East. They were 4th last year. So maybe that feels like a knock. It felt like there was a gap between the top 3 and the rest of the East last year. And it feels that way again to me. Where did you have Charlotte for this season?
I have them 9th. So I have them.
Oh, you have the fall off.
Playing for basically the playing with Columbus and Atlanta. So I have Columbus 8th, Charlotte 9, and Atlanta 10. But it comes mostly because I'm so high on what I think is going to be the top of the East. Obviously, Inter Miami, Nashville, Cincinnati, Chicago, and Philadelphia. I think those 5 teams are a lock. For the top 5 in the East. And then it's what do you think and what do you want to do with New York City, with Orlando, with Columbus, which is a big question mark now without Wilfred Nancy, right? And Charlotte, what puts the brakes on me with Charlotte, it's what Wilfred Zaha we're going to get.
Right.
Are we going to get the big time player that is going to be productive on the field while not being a distraction? Or are we going to get the Wilfred Zaha that after a bad game or after a bad result, he's going to jump on social media and complain about something?
I still think the floor with this team is high enough with Kalina and Reem and Westwood and Bronico and all that.
I just don't think that floor is as high as the teams that are supposed to be ahead of them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It feels like to me with all the flux, I took the consistent. I do think Tokomari will score a bunch of goals. I drafted
absolutely.
Him
That's something that I want to say. Now we have Pep Biel back healthy,
which is huge.
It's huge, and it was a big blow for them at the end of the season. And Tokomari, I believe he's going to be a guy that is going to be fighting for the Golden Boot.
We just got a Tom Scoops bomb in the middle of this show, which came up all across, which is Daniel Shalhoub has been traded to Toronto FC. From SKC, the details Tom put out is $300K in GAM with $700K in add-ons. Shalhoub will not be a DP for Toronto. This is not shocking to me. It felt like Shalhoub was the one asset that KC could move on if they wanted to try and recruit some value. And he's obviously part of an old regime and whatnot. They still only have 12 players. So that part's a little bit surprising. And it's not crazy to me that Toronto tried to find a way to impact their attack while still waiting on this Josh Sargent stuff. But we'll talk about that more when we get to those 2 teams. Let's get into our next game, which is 4:45 on Saturday. I didn't use the timer on that one because we talked to Edward Leuven for a while, as we should.
Yeah.
So now the timer's back on. FC Cincinnati hosting Atlanta at 4:45. If anyone watched last night, Cincinnati put out a pretty strong lineup in Dominican Republic. They won 4-0, but because of that, they were able to sub kind of early for Evander and Denke and some of those guys. our Lord and Savior, Tommy Starlow, with the opening goal. Shout out to him getting the start in his first game. And then on the flip side, Atlanta have signed Sergio Santos and Fafa Pico this week. So they saw their Tom Barlow and they one-upped them and went with the original version in Sergio Santos. Michele, opening thoughts about this game and these teams?
Well, real quick with Cincinnati, I'm interested to see what's going to be the fallout of last season. I'm very high on Cincinnati because you have, like last season and the last 2 seasons, you have the individuals, right? You have Evander, with arguably it's a top 3, top 5 player in MLS, whatever you want to put him, maybe top 2 behind Messi. I don't know. That's very subjective. But the problem with Cincinnati, and I think we talk about this a lot last year, is that the lack of identity. What's the game model of Cincinnati? They were very good on both boxes because you have the individuals, right? On the defensive side, you have, an incredible center backs with Miazga and Miles Robinson and the rest of the crew. And then up top, obviously, you have Evander, you have Denki. But the midfield was always a question mark. Like, and Wobodo, went away. He came back from injury and he was never the player that he was before the injury. He actually lost his starting position. Now Orellano was always a question mark, and at the end he ended up being more of a problem than a solution for Cincinnati. And Pat Noonan spoke about that. Like, I don't know where to play him. We've tried different positions, and it's been very frustrating. Now he's gone. Echenique is a player that I'm really high on him, but he's not a wingback. And I think that's a problem because you're asking him to be a wingback, which means he has to track back, he has to defend, and he's not that. He was basically a number 10 at Caracas in Venezuela. He played really well, and he adapted really quick. He was starting right away. When he came back in the summer. So I'm pretty high on him now that he can learn more of the position.
And Barrial and Orellano weren't those guys either. I do think that's where Samuel Guidi replaced Obino Nobodo last year, and it was huge for this team. That's where I think, though, Nobodo still has value to come back into this team. His ability to cover defensively for guys like Barrial back in the day and Yedlin and whoever else was one of the secrets for this team. But the big question mark with all of that then is Matt Miazga, which is like, okay, if you're starting Miazga, Miles Robinson, and whoever the third center back is, you got the best center back core in the league that can cover for wing backs being high up the field. We don't know where Matt Miazga is. He is not available. We don't know fully if it's an injury or if it's off-field stuff and contract stuff and whatever. Kevin Wallace came on and talked to us about it, and it's like he sort of was like, I don't know that this guy will play for Cincinnati this year. That is the big factor in all of that because it unlocks everything you just said, which is freedom for Evander, freedom for the wingbacks, freedom for all these guys to go and play and be a little bit more aggressive offensively. On the flip side, Atlanta, I know you've covered Tata for a while. I don't understand how he took this job. I don't understand what the plan is. Like, this is maybe the weirdest team in MLS to me outside of Sporting Kansas City.
Big question mark. And I had the opportunity to speak with people that were in the loop when Atlanta United was actually trying to find their next head coach. They were doing the interviews. And
that's the timer. So this is your final thought on Atlanta.
My final thought is that last year that team had clearly problems in the locker room. And the problems were coming from big-time players. And that's a thing that Atlanta needs to fix. And I think Tata Martino is a really good choice to fix that. But again,
he walked out on Miami because he didn't like dealing with the big-time players and everything that was going on. Now, Messi is different than Alexei Moranchuk, but just throwing that
different than Miguel Almiron.
For sure.
But this is a team that has revamped, obviously, the goalkeeping position with Gus retiring. Obviously, the center back position because they were leaking goals just ridiculously at the end of the season. But at the end, it goes by what your DP players do. And when you spend $22 million on a center forward like Emmanuel Latelaz and you just get 7 goals, he scored 5 goals in the first five games, and then he scored 2 goals in the last 29 games. So that's unacceptable. And if Miranchuk and Miguel Almiron don't play as the level that they need them to play, this team is going nowhere again. I don't have them as a playoff team. So I think they're going to be obviously way better than what they were last season, because last season was an absolute disaster, something completely unacceptable. But again, all the teams that we already mentioned on the Eastern Conference are so much better than them in quality as a team, that, yeah, they're going to be fun to watch. Obviously, Tata Martino, it's a big storyline, but I don't know. I don't have them as a playoff team.
Michele, we're going to have to do a lesson on what final thought means after we get through this.
I mean, Atlanta Cincinnati is a big game. Come on, I'm excited. It's week 1.
They're all
Semana
big games.
uno.
I agree. But it's
Semana uno. We're excited.
It's going to be a 2-hour show for
I haven't done a
which,
podcast like in 3 months.
I know.
Come on.
All right, let's go
So
let's go to your game. 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So that slate of the night games, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, all have kickoffs still, but less games in here with all the spread out games. Let's start with Orlando, New York Red Bulls. One of the big stories we did our preview with Mike Spillane here was the injuries for this Orlando team. Robin Janssen out, we know for sure. Carlos Coronel never happened. They've sold Luis Muriel, have not replaced him yet. So there are big question marks up the spine for this Orlando team. There's also a lot of young talent that's come in, Michele. What do you make of sort of this team going into week 1?
I'm high on Orlando. I think I'm higher than most people are. I still have them 7th on the East. I'm not putting them like winning the Shield or fighting for the top 4. But definitely the defense is a concern, especially with Janssen being out. I think I love that preview episode, especially with Orlando. And I think you guys mentioned that he was going to be out until the World Cup break, which is brutal. It's half the season, obviously. But I think that the Griffin Dorsey signing was A+++++. Fullbacks are a problem on this team. I was talking with some people in Orlando. Marin has looked awful on the left side. Awful. Like, maybe it's just preseason. Like, maybe he's still adapting to the league. Obviously, he didn't play much last year, but its vibes are not good from the people that I've talked regarding Marin. Obviously, a center back is an issue, but I have high hopes with Iago. Yeah. He looks like a big prospect, but young. And Janssen is not there at the beginning of the season to like carry him, right?
For sure. That's the big fear with all this. That was supposed to be the stabilizer for all these guys. And now we don't know when we'll see him at his best.
And obviously now Dorsey is going to be the starting right back. If not, it was going to be Angulo, which is going to be like another, like, I mean, that's not sustainable for the whole season. So A+++. But Orlando's going to be a team that's going to score a lot of goals. Like Cartagena is back, which is massive. Yeah. Atuesta had a great season last year. I don't see why he wouldn't like do it again. And again, you still have Ojeda, you still have Pasalic. Obviously, you have the number 9 position as a question mark, but you have the Brazilian guy. You can start Maguire now that he's healthy. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Orlando, but obviously the defense at the beginning is going to be question mark.
Yeah, I have Orlando in 10th, and I didn't feel great about it because I like all the things you said, but you're looking at them versus other teams, missing your starting center back, questions in goal, questions along the back line. That's a lot to go into a season with, and we don't know when they'll be answered. On the flip side, Michael Bradley's first game for New York Red Bulls. I did some stuff with Emil Forsberg and Julian Hall yesterday that we're going to put out. You know, there seems to be a lot of excitement in the team. It feels like inside the team, the amount of change is positive of last year was a bad year and why leave things similar, but there's not a lot of guarantees and all of that. Like even Rubalcaba as a DP is a bit of an unknown at his age and with his production. It's not like you're bringing in a second Emil Forsberg to like totally juice the roster. And so a lot of young players or unknown players are going to have to step up for this team.
Yeah, I want to say that Rubalcaba, it's going to be a great signing, but I thought Jairo Torres was going to be a great signing at Chicago. So what do I know? Yeah. I don't think there's a great track record of like DPs coming from Liga MX, from Mexican players. I know Rubalcaba, it was born in the US, but I mean, he's coming from Liga MX, and by all means, he's a Mexican player coming to MLS. I'm really excited about what Bradley can do with Donkor on the midfield. But again, the Noah Eiley leaving, that's a big hole to fill. Again, it's a team similar to Orlando that is going to be exciting from the midfield up. I mean, when you have Aguiman, Choupo-Moting and Forsberg. Now Rubalcaba, hopefully he's a productive player. You have Kate Cowell on the other side. It looks like a team that's going to be vertical. It looks like a team that is going to be fun, but I think the back line it's going to take a while. I'm not worried about Coronel not being there. I think Ethan Horvath it's a really good goalkeeper, and I think he's going to be very like average plus average in Major League Soccer. But yeah, I don't. And obviously, again, Michael Bradley, first year as a head coach in Major League Soccer. I think it's gonna take some time. He's a very smart player. He was a really smart player, a great player. So and he has his dad as mentor. So I think it's gonna take time. I think Red Bulls are gonna be a fun team, a good team, but I have them outside of the playoffs too.
Okay, I have them. I
have them 11th.
I have them 11th as well. So we're in agreement on that one. All right, let's move to our next game. Let's do DC United hosting the Philadelphia Union. Philly coming off a dominant performance in their CCC game. So a good start for them for a team that I have dropping. So I have Philly finishing in 8th in the Eastern Conference. I think there can be a lot of confidence in Philly's ability to flip players and bring in the next one. This feels like a lot. Like it feels like Ty Baribo and Kai Wagner and the injury to Quinn Sullivan and Jakob Glesnes. Like we're talking about what? 1/3 of their starters, almost half their starters. It just feels like a lot to flip over and hit running at the same time. And so I think there's a year it takes for some of these guys to settle in or show that they're ready. And the shift with losing Kai Wagner changes the way they play. So it feels to me like this is a tough year for Philadelphia.
For sure. I think Kai Wagner is unreplaceable. I think that's where the team is going to suffer the most. He was basically the assist leader and one of their best offensive players, and for years. That's going to be a tough loss. I think the Macaña presence is going to mitigate a little bit the Glesnes absence now, because I think he's a incredible center back that is going to keep growing and getting better. Up top, I mean, Quinn Sullivan is going to come back. We'll see what Kevin Sullivan can do. Obviously, he's still super young. Ilowski is there from the beginning now. He has shown that he can score a lot of goals, and Damian is there for again, and they've made a couple of signings. I love their midfield with Lukic and Jean-Jacques. I think it's probably maybe you can make an argument that is the best double pivot in Major League Soccer. Obviously, I have them getting a little drop. They won Super Shields last year, which is a big out of left field. I have them 5th, which I think it's pretty fair. Yeah. But I think they're still gonna be a really, really good team.
What's your DC take? What's your excitement level for this? What do you think?
I think they're gonna be much better than people think. I honestly do. I know that that you don't have now the big presence up top, but it was a pretty fair replacement. I think Baribo is a guy that if he gets service, and he's shown that with Philadelphia, and I think DC United had some good players that can give him service. Monteano is pretty interesting. Peglo, it's a pretty interesting player that can provide assists. If you feed Baribo, I think you can score 10, 12 goals.
I think it's fair to say he's probably more durable. You're going to get more minutes from him. And
that too, yes.
He's not Christian Benteke. Benteke is a great striker. But I think it's reasonable to say you can get 14 to 18 goals from him, which is massive production at the center forward position. The question will just be if the rest of it can come with it. I like Sean Nealis as an ad. Like I like some of the move they've made. They still maybe on the flip side from Philly have the weakest central midfield pivot in the league, and it just feels like a really tough platform to try and build a team off of. But they've added Sean Johnson, they've added Sean Nealis, like they've added some experience along the back line, which I think makes them better. I have them still in 15th because I did the DC preview with the DC guys, and they were like, yeah, maybe we'll be a less worse Shield team. And it's like, it felt hard to have more confidence in their team than they have in themselves. So that's where I ended up. But this is going to be a real telling game because what Philly did great last year was they smacked bad teams and
Yeah.
they got huge results and they did the work early in those games. And so, like, can DC prove that they can hang against one of these teams that has a distinct style? Okay, this one I didn't even realize when I put it down. Vancouver's hosting RSL at 7:30 Eastern time, so a 4:30 local game. I assume that's CCL related of travel and all that type of stuff, but I have no idea. Vancouver, the toughest game of the first round, 0-0 draw down in Costa Rica against Cartagenes. So a pretty strong team for Vancouver in that one as well. Not full starters, but pretty close. Brian White got the start, Sebastian Berhalter, Matias Laborda, all of that. And RSL, a team we haven't talked about a ton, Michele, which I struggled with in my preseason rankings. I put them 14th. I don't feel great about that.
Wow.
Pablo gets a lot out of his teams. I do like some of the moves they've made. I really like Engel and Yedlin as wide center backs. I love Justin Glad as a player. Yeah. But this attack just feels like such an unknown to me that I'm really worried about them.
I have, checking my list, I have RSL 10th. So I have them like pretty similar to where they were last year. My hesitation is one, what you said. I have no idea what to expect from their strikers this year. Like, no idea. But they have really exciting young players like Diego Luna and Gozo. But are they going to be here after the summer? That's a big question mark too. So even if RSL starts the season well and they're in kind of a playoffs playing game positions, then the World Cup comes here. I want to think that Diego Luna is going to be part of the USMNT squad at the World Cup. So if he plays, if he does well, if he's gonna get sold. Same thing for Gozo, which is one of the biggest prospects in the US. Not to make the USMNT, I mean to get sold during the big window in the summer. I really like what they did on defense. Like you said, Engel. I think I really like Engel. Justin Glad, it's always a staple. Cabral is a good goalkeeper. Yedlin, like you mentioned, it's a great proven MLS player, a great leader on the locker room too. We already know what Pablo can do, like you said, with their teams. So I think they're gonna be a fun team, an interesting team. Diego Luna is my favorite player to watch in Major League Soccer. I've been saying that for a couple of years. So I'm pretty excited to watch RSL all the time. I'm gonna have the opportunity to do their games on week 2. So I'm pretty excited to see what they can do. They're gonna be fun, and I think they're gonna be better than people are expecting. But again, that can go sideways if their strikers don't score goals.
Yeah, so Olatunji there for the full year. That helps, right? Came in the middle of last year, and Gulavugi coming in preseason helps. But this is one that's like right now we think Dominic Marchuk is starting at right wing back. I've been waiting for 3 years, and it's like at some point you got to stop waiting. Okay, on the flip side on this one, Vancouver, we've talked about a lot. Do you have belief that they can maintain from last year? Or do you worry about them?
No, I have them second behind LAFC on the West again, making a big run and fighting for everything they play this year. I love Cubas, I love Berhalter. I don't know how big the loss of some players on the attack it's gonna be. I don't know how good Kenji Cabrera is gonna be now, probably being a starter on that team, but I'm not worried about Brian White, about Mueller, about Berhalter, Cubas. They kept Blackman, which for a second it was looking that he was leaving to a team in South Florida. So I mean, they still have one of the best goalkeepers in Major League Soccer. I love their fullbacks. And you're gonna get the Cookbe back at some point, right? From his injury. So yeah, I'm still super high on Vancouver. Why not? Yeah.
So Vancouver, they host Cartagenes on Wednesday night in their next game, and then it looks like they host Toronto on the following weekend on Saturday. So now, after going away for CCL action, they come back, they get to host 3 straight games, and then the game after that is at Portland. So a short trip. So not a bad start to this year for Vancouver in terms of trying to manage the different competitions and all of that. Okay, let's move into that 8:30 window to start things out, and we've got a big one. Austin hosting Minnesota, and we got official news, I think, about 24 hours ago that James Rodriguez has received his visa, so he will be available to Minnesota. We don't know how many minutes. We don't know what it looks like. Michele, I know you've lived the James Rodriguez coverage life. What do you make of this and sort of what it's going to be for this team?
Okay, let's
settle in, everyone. Here we go.
Yeah, let's settle in. Let's make one thing clear. And I feel that it's a lot of things are happening, right? And everywhere, and the league starting, and we're more distracted than ever before with everything that's happening in our lives. This is one of the biggest signings in Major League Soccer history, and I don't think it's been talked about that way. We're talking about on the field, without a question on my mind, he becomes, after Messi, the most talented player to touch a soccer field for the 2026 season. I'm not talking about production. I'm not talking about if he's going to be great for the 6 months that he's going to be played, but as a talent, talent. We're talking about one of the biggest talents in soccer world history, one of the biggest talents in Colombian soccer history that have given us players like El Pibe Valderrama and more. Now, do I think it's gonna work? No. Why not? Because we already know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
The World Cup is gonna get here, and he's gonna be gone after the World Cup.
Yeah, and it's gonna take him how many weeks to become a starter, and when he is, how many
adapt to the league.
Play? Yeah,
is it gonna be fun? Am I gonna be tuning into every Minnesota United game? Am I excited to watch him? Yes, he still was productive with Leon, especially at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't sustained a whole year at any team since I think 2018 or 2019 when he was at Bayern.
Yeah.
So we already know, we already know what's gonna happen. So that placates my excitement, but again, I'm really, really, really interested to see what he can do.
Let me add to this. I hadn't done it this way. So they play Austin this week. They then go home. So in the cold, February 28th in Minnesota, they'll host Cincinnati.
Yeah.
They then travel to Nashville. They then
travel.
Schedule. Then they host Vancouver, and then they travel to Seattle. It is that takes you through the March FIFA window, where he then goes off with Colombia, right? Yeah. So the next time you play a team that one of us hasn't picked as a top 3 to 6 team in the league is post his next Colombia camp and whatever happening and all of that. I agree with you on every aspect. Well, not every aspect. I think Son's a better soccer player than him, but fine, whatever. We're splitting hairs on. I understand.
Son it's right now, yes, as a talent.
Oh, I don't know, man. We're talking peaks on the two of them. It is close. You're talking to a James fanboy, the star boy. I fully get you.
James, Brazil 2014 was untouchable.
I don't disagree with you. But that Colombia team was a better team than Son has ever played for with South Korea
for sure.
At a World Cup, and then Son pretty much did it in the Premier League.
Hey! I have Son as my MVP for this year, so don't get it twisted. And can I say something real quick about Austin?
Yeah, do it.
Man, quick. Facundo Torres. What are we doing, dude? Nothing against the player, but the way I see it, and I'm gonna make this point real quick. When the league, for example, I'm gonna give the Inter Miami example. When Tadeo Allende is a TAM player under your league,
wow.
Okay, on the roster he's a TAM player, right?
Yep.
That's the bar. Facundo Torres cannot be a DP.
Yeah, I get it, and the part that I struggle with is when I look at this team. To me, it's okay, so Owen Wolf and Jane Nelson are the two most important players on the team because they're the ones who are going to make it work. And if that's the reality, then they should be DPs. If that's the case of the way you've built your roster,
that's the bar. Tadeo Allende, as a TAM player, needs to be the bar for every team that wants to be that wants to be a contender. I know it's really hard. I know I have no idea how Miami made it work, but I'm not confident about the decisions.
Don't worry, I'm looking out at all the cranes in front of me in downtown Miami. I'm figuring out how they made it work.
Because I love Austin. I love Nico Esteves. I'm a big fan. I love Brandon Vasquez. I love Owen Wolf. I love Ilie. I love Danny Pereira. But I'm not sure if I'm confident enough of what the front office is going to do moving forward. They already struck out big time with Bukhari. Mm-hmm. They struck out with Uzuni. That's a fact. And they're trying to sell him, and he's probably going to be sold in the summer. We don't know what Brandon Vasquez is going to be. Brandon Vasquez should have never been brought as a DP. And now you being Facundo Torres, which has spoken with people at Orlando, and I think everyone that has spoken about him on this show, on every Major League Soccer show, we know what type of player he is. He's a very good player, but he cannot be your go-to DP guy, star player in a team.
Yeah.
Right? And I think Austin cannot keep making those mistakes when you sign DPs.
And then I don't know if you saw this, but Burrell was like, well, we don't have any GAM. We can't do anything. And it's like, as if someone stole it out of his account, when it's like, well, you run the team. Like, you manage how much money you have in there and what you have available to you. Big note here before we move on. One, Minnesota signed Kyle Duncan, which I don't think, if they end up in a back three again, I think that's his best case scenario. Clearly, I still have a little Kyle Duncan stock when I shouldn't. The other is Owen Wolf has been injured. Mm-hmm. He trained a little. He probably is not available. That's as big a loss as any team's going to have. Okay, let's get to our next game, because this gets us our first chance to talk about this big trade. FC Dallas against Toronto FC. I've got FC Dallas thoughts, but let's hit this. So Daniel Shalhoub, $300,000 in allocation in GAM is the deal, with $700,000 in add-ons.
Feels
that low. For Daniel Shalhoub at 29 years old, 286 career appearances for SKC, 67 goals. It seems like there wasn't other guaranteed offers out there, because we haven't seen Shalhoub at his best in 4 years. Mm-hmm. But let's cook in, if he plays the way we think he's going to play, then it becomes an $800,000 to $1 million deal. I think no matter what, it's a great deal for TFC, because the risk is very low. And if he hits the way he can, and you start to hit those triggers on the sell-on stuff, you're happy to do that, because that means you're playing well and he's a productive part of your team. My guess is he comes in as a left wing, and this slides Georgie to the 10, unless they want to play him as a 9 while they're still waiting for Josh Sargent. But this feels like a really good move for Toronto, a team that I had ranked very, very low because I was unsure as of last night.
Yeah, me too. I'm just checking right here. I have Toronto 12th.
I have them 13th.
I think they could be way better than that, because they finished last season in a high note. George is a great signing, and he showed that from the get-go. If they bring Josh Sargent, I think that changes the game, because you're bringing a guy that can easily win the Golden Boot and be a 20-25 goal scorer in MLS with his eyes closed. But we don't know. I don't know. I haven't heard anything more of that for weeks. It's just it got weird, and I've been following, obviously, as everyone, all the Tommy Scoops reports. So hopefully for Sargent and his family, because that's what he wants, to come back to the U.S., Canada, back to North American territory, North America. So that will be a big time signing. But I'm a lot of question marks. Still a team that needs to fix a lot of things. But he also, the Walker Zimmerman brings a lot of stability to that back line and leadership. I think Toronto is going to be much better than people think. A playoff team? No. If they bring Sargent in, I think they could fight for playing. Yes.
I think I agree with you, and I think Shalhoub works both ways. I think Shalhoub can help this team without Josh Sargent. He can score goals for you. He can play vertical. He can stretch the field. He can change the shape a little. he definitely fits with Sargent because he'll play off of him. And that's when he's at his best. I do think Sargent's really good back to goal, creating for other guys. So I think the move makes sense. And I think this is an attack that needed something else. I wouldn't be shocked if DeAndre Kerr starts at center forward for this first game. And I would be surprised how much you even get from Shallowy in this one, but it's a big move for them. On the flip side with Dallas, it seems like Quill's locked into this 3-4-3, which they were really successful with to close the year. I took Herman Johansson, the Swedish wingback, as one of my picks in my Austin FC Best Ball League that I did my draft on Tuesday night, because I think he's going to be a huge difference. And obviously I'm in the can for Petar Musa. Anything he does is electric. And they finally closed
number 9 in MLS.
Yeah. And they finally closed on Joaquin Valentin, which we don't know where he'll fit and how it will go, but felt like a bonus this team needed in terms of talent in this lineup.
Yeah, Dallas is a very intriguing team. I think
this is our big gap one.
I have them 9th.
I have them 5th.
Wow. So you're way harder than me.
I mean, so the second half of the year, from when Lucho Acosta left on, they had the 4th best points per game in MLS. I don't think that's sustainable.
That's what we were debating, that we weren't agree that Peter Musa had to be on the MVP conversation. Remember that?
And then we got yelled at, and then it was like, oh, actually, we were kind of right.
Yeah. And I think apologies to Sam Surridge, apologies to Germán Berterame, who's going to be newcomer of the year. But I think Peter Musa is the best number 9 in Major League Soccer.
Didn't even apologize to Brian White.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Son is not a number 9. He plays as a number 9, but he's we're talking like natural number 9s. I'm sorry, Brian White. Logan Farrington got a contract extension, by the way, contract renewal. So that's a good positive. What Capis can do as an attacking midfielder on this team, what Camungo can do. Johansson, it looks pretty interesting because he can play center back, he can play D mid, he can play attacking midfielder. It was crazy. I was talking with people at Dallas, and it's like, they have tried him on the wing. It's like, what? He's supposed to be a center back D mid, and he's like, no, he's really good. He's really good, and he's like this Swedish guy that he's like a boss in the locker room, on the field. Great guy. And Colori on goal. I think it's as crazy as it sounds. I think he's an upgrade from what Martin Paez was at the end. So I think Dallas is going to be really fun. And I have them on the plane, but I don't hate your 5th prediction.
I feel like the floor is high. I feel like they know who they are. I don't know that they've improved on it. That's the question mark, in like how sustainable over 34 games, getting results, being a low scoring team, grinding out games is possible. But that's the question mark with them. All right, let's move to Houston, Chicago. This is a big one as well. These are two of the teams with huge question marks coming into the year. Houston, 1 million signings. Chicago, I have a lot of expectations for. And obviously, let's start with Houston. They just traded Griffin Dorsey to start this year. They have some injuries. Archer has been hurt, so there's some question marks in central midfield. And then they've brought in these like 9 attackers, and how it all fits together is one of the big things this season. What do you make of this team?
I think it starts with Ponce. It starts and ends with Ponce. I remember talking with some people in Houston at the beginning of last season, and they really believe in Ponce. They think he can be a guy that his floor and expectation should be at minimum 15 goals per season. And they think he can be a 20-goal scorer on Major League Soccer. And I'm quoting them, the coaching staff. If Ponce doesn't give us that amount of goals, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
That was their thought process coming into last year. Now, that was before adding, for example, adding McLean. That was before adding McLean. Now they brought Hector Herrera. It's funny because this is a quick anecdote. I got to do in Leagues Cup, the Columbus Toluca game that opened Leagues Cup. And I had a quick chat with Hector Herrera before the game. And I jokingly say, like, hey, we miss you here in Major League Soccer. And he was like, oh, I miss being here so much. And he said, but I think I'm coming back. I was like, there's no way you're coming back to MLS. And he was like, you'll see. And yeah, I think the Hector Herrera that we're seeing and Victor Araiza that you had on the preview echo this sentiment that I think Hector Herrera knows he screwed up on the field and off the field. Like he should have had a more presence in the community and being part of bring that Houston identity on and off the field. And I think he's willing to do that, especially because he went to Toluca and he didn't play at all.
Yeah.
He played like less than 1,000 minutes in a whole year or something. He didn't play in Leagues Cup at all. Toluca has an incredible roster, but Hector Herrera became a part of the bench, and I don't know what he's gonna bring on the field. But if he becomes the Hector Herrera that has been a leader on and off the field during his career, I think this team could be really fun, really good. I don't think they're a playoff team, but they could be fun.
I agree with you. I think like it's kind of like a dream scenario for Houston of like they got the player last time. They spent a lot of money. Now they get the PR guy this time. And like as long as he acknowledges he's not the player anymore and that doesn't become an issue, it's kind of like the dream setup for you. I really like the addition of Buzat. I think he's going to be special for them. They need that. I think he might end up in a newcomer of the year convo. He won't win it because he won't score goals, but like that's big for this team. But Griffin Dorsey's a whole that they've lost, and there's other question marks around this team. But Ponce, I think it's fair to say he scored 5 goals in 10 games his first year. He scored 10 on a bad team last year. Like he should score 18 to 20 on this season. Okay, I don't think we hit.
Oh, real quick, are they okay with Doyle? Are they okay
with the video? That was so funny. Yeah, I think so.
There?
I think maybe he fixed the team, so everyone should thank him. We didn't hit Chicago at all in that. So I have Chicago 4th in the East.
High five.
So both of us are very high on them. Embo Kaze, I think, will be a huge factor. I think Joel Waterman's one of the best rotation center backs in the league. Like, I think that's a stronger position. And we haven't really talked about Solteros joining, which is a guy that, like, I think they were talking, like, low NDP with him and all this stuff. They couldn't get him through the door. Now they do as a TAM player with Robin Ludd. I just think this is a team that's loaded with talent. A lot relies on Bamba elevating his game, but that still puts them better than last year, which was the 8th seed. So we're already talking about a team that it feels like if they stay healthy is at a minimum in a 6 to 8 conversation. And if they perform at a higher level, that's where I have them moving into 4th place, which is one of my biggest jumps in the league.
And they don't need to fix a lot because to start with, they were terrible at home. They had one of the worst home records in Major League Soccer. Yeah, don't be terrible at home, and you're gonna get a lot of more points. I'm so high on Chicago. I think I had him 4th, and I had them 4th because I'm higher on Nashville and obviously on Inter Miami. But I mean, if I have to like redo everything again, I think I could put Chicago even like at the same like level with Cincinnati, or even on top. I mean, I love Kuipers. I think Bamba, Kuipers, and Zinkernagel are formidable. Yeah, I'm not saying anything.
One of the things that's
groundbreaking here,
Zinkernagel's numbers will fall off because there's no way he sustains it. But if Bamba can elevate and Ludd brings some and Solteros brings some, then it's fine. Like it can be okay, and Kuipers can probably up his goal number as well.
Yeah, but Davila, love him. I think he's gonna be one of the best.
I think he's gonna be breakout. Yeah,
he has like best 11 MLS best 11 potential. I think Mbokasi, from what I heard and read and from him, I think he's gonna be like, okay, this guy's gonna be a MLS Defender of the Year contender right away. And next to him is Jack Elliott.
For sure. Yeah, so, it's a perfect scenario. Yeah,
and you have one of the best, if not the best, young goalkeeper in MLS in Chris Brady. Yeah. I love Brady. I think he's better than Celentano. I think he's better than the other group of youngsters, in my opinion. I love Brady, so I think this team is going to be really good.
All right, let's do Nashville Revs. I've talked a lot about Nashville, so why don't you hit us there first? By the way, they won 2-0 in Ottawa in that first game, or in Hamilton. I think I had that wrong when I talked about it last week. fully rotated team. They still went
Yeah.
out and won 2-0. The DPs came off the bench late and scored. Wubens Pachias gets the start. I think a sign of the confidence of this group, but give me your sort of Nashville take going into week one.
I cannot be higher in Nashville. I think I expressed my love from Cristian Espinosa so many times. I was so angry last year when he didn't get selected to the All-Star game. He made it after as an injury replacement, but I was like, what are we doing? I think Cristian Espinosa is the most underrated player in MLS history. And I love him. I think history. Underrated player in MLS history.
I got you.
And it's not anyone's fault. He's been like,
Joel Lemper is the most underrated player, but I get it. Okay.
like he's been dead in San Jose on a place that a lot of people didn't pay attention until last year for a lot of seasons, because they were terrible.
Yeah.
But with Mukhtar and Suric, I think Suric can hit 30 goals with Espinosa and Mukhtar serving him, especially Espinosa. And another year with BJ, another year of Taxet and Jaspek. I don't know how hard the Walker Zimmerman loss is going to hit, but Walker, I think last season you could see that at the end he almost he was a lot of injuries and maybe lost a step. But I'm really high on Nashville. I think Espinosa is the best move that any team made on the offseason. I was actually shocked that he didn't end up on LAFC. I think that was the thought.
Right. The assumption is
there.
If the amount he can make is capped, he's going to go to LAFC because that's where we think. Which huge sign for Nashville that he did.
Yeah, no, I think
come there.
The best signing of the offseason for me is Espinosa to Nashville, and I love it. I love BJ, I love Mukhtar, I love Suric. I think this team's gonna contend for MLS Cup.
So I have them second in the East. I think you do as well.
I have them third behind Cincinnati, but if I have to redo it again, I will put them second.
I picked them to win MLS Cup in our picks. So I have Inter Miami winning the Shield and Nashville winning MLS Cup. I think everyone's going to struggle to keep up with Miami in terms of just throughout the season. Even if you beat them twice, which probably won't happen, you don't control what DC and Philly and whatever does against them. But I think Nashville has so many answers in big games that I think they'll be a formidable knockout team. They won US Open Cup last year, so they have that experience as well. I like the Reed Baker Whiting ad as well. So on the Revs side, the Revs, I think I already said this on the last show, they are the one of the other teams I have making the biggest jump. I finished putting them at 7th in the Eastern Conference. It's a lot of belief in the talent that's already there and that Mitrovic can use it properly. Even if not, it all works out, but it's all an unknown. Leo Campagna has been in and out. There's so many pieces that have been hurt or weren't performing last year. So there's nothing really known. I think you were kind of opposite on the Revs for this season.
Because I really love the individuals, but we don't know if it's going to click. And we don't know, everybody's expecting that Mitrovic is going to be Mikey Varas 2.0. Mm-hmm. We don't know that.
100%, yeah.
And again, I love Campana, but he hasn't lived to his full potential because of injuries or because of whatever. If he's on the field, he can score a lot of goals. I think he has scored 5 goals in 5 games in preseason. Has he been on fire?
Yeah.
So, but he needs to stay on the field. We already know what Carles Gil can do. Brooklyn Reigns it's a big signing for them because Mitrovic knows him, and I think he can be a really good Turkeyman. It's a pretty interesting player. He came into MLS and he scored
3 in 3 games.
I think removing all the nonsense and the unexplainable things that happened with Caleb Porter is going to help. In the locker room of the field, on the field. Fofana and Ceballos, I think, are a great center back pairing. I'm just throwing names, right? I love all the names that I'm saying, but we haven't seen them
100%
collectively. And again, Campana needs to stay on the field. If Campana is healthy and he stays on the field and he can score because he can score 15 goals, 18 goals, 20 goals, this team is going to be playoff contention.
All right, let's move to
see it.
Let's move to the next one. We're going 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, the only game in this time window, and it is LAFC hosting Miami. For many people, the big game of the weekend. So we did get confirmation
for many people, or for all the people.
I I don't know. I'm excited. I'm as excited about San Diego, Montreal as I am about LAFC Miami. Bertarame, it sounds like, has received his visa. I don't think he has trained because of that.
He trained yesterday.
Well, I meant for preseason. So
right.
For him, we'll see how many minutes he gets. And then for LAFC, they obviously shellacked Real España 6-1, an insane game, but it was their best team that they rolled out there in Central America on Tuesday night. So now they come back, they play Miami. I guess you assume midweek they're not going to play anyone because they're up 6-1 at home. They don't have to. And then they go to Houston next weekend. So you probably could say the gamble ends up paying off for Marc Dos Santos, but what do you make of this matchup? And like, is this MLS Cup preview?
I have a question about the gas theorem.
Yeah.
Right. Can you explain it real quick? Because
I've been getting a lot of questions about it.
What?
I've been getting a lot of questions about it.
Yeah. So is David Martinez eligible for that?
He's in his third year, right? Like he came half year and then played.
This is a second full year.
Yeah, but it's his third year in MLS. I think he might not be, although in theory he's a part of why it is.
Okay.
The issue with that one, which I don't, is like he's also young and developing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like he should be getting better this year than he was last year and 2 years ago. Okay. But I get your point where you're going.
I'm buying all the stock. I'm buying all the stock with David Martinez. I think he's going to be absolutely a monster, and he's going to be a starter. I think he's going to play over Shuffleberg, and obviously Son and Buanga. I feel like I'm hitting all the notes that you and everybody has. Like, I'm super high on what Eustaquio brings, and when Marlon Jesus comes back, that's going to be a big. Have you seen? And please, for the people listening to this, go to Google, right, and Google Marlon. Marlon Jesus. Igor Jesus. Igor Jesus.
Like, Marlon?
Sorry. Marlon was the center back. Sorry.
I know.
Igor Jesus. Google Igor Jesus and Google Evander. They're the same person.
Nice.
We call Igor Jesus Evandercito.
Nice.
And I told this to Evander the last time I was in Cincinnati. He was just like, "Oh my God, that's so spot on." Just Google him. Google Igor Jesus, and then Google Evander. They look like brothers, twins. But I digress.
They do actually look exactly the same. So
I was talking about this with actually yesterday or 2 days ago. I think LAFC and Marc Dos Santos are going to be really good. Yeah. I think Marc Dos Santos is going to be really good because this reminds me of when after the World Cup, when Berhalter, they put Berhalter aside after the Gio Reyna World Cup stuff, and first Anthony Hudson came in, and then BJ Callahan. The macro and of the program and the system and everything felt and look the same, right? Oh, they're gonna keep playing the 4-3-3. They're gonna be playing the same. They're gonna keep the same nucleus, players, etc. But during that, Hudson brought some tweaks, and then BJ brought some tweaks. Like, for example, BJ was the first one that put Reyna as a 10, right? And I remember talking with Ricardo Pepi on that January camp when Hudson was in charge, and asked him, hey, what's the big difference between the macro feeling and looking the same? And he said, well, for example, Hudson gives the attacking players more freedom, and it's less rigid that with Greg. So on the macro, these little tweaks helped the team. And the USMNT got better under Hudson and under BJ Callahan. Under BJ Callahan, they destroyed Mexico and Canada on that Nations League. So what I'm trying to say is that even though people think that Dos Santos is going to be just copy-pasting the same as Cherondolo, I think he brings, or he can implement some tweaks and ideas that we already saw during the weekday, that are going to make this team so much better.
The big concern, it's sort of like the Chris Armas thing of like the shift from head coach and assistant coach, you're everyone's buddy, to being sort of the bad guy. But it's easier to do changing teams than like he has these relationships with all these guys that now has to change. Some of that's positive, some of that's negative. The pivot you just made to 2024 2023 CONCACAF Nations League from LAFC, elite, Michele. So I appreciate that. To get to BJ Callahan in the US, I understood it, but it was an elite pivot anyway.
Thank you.
The one question mark I think people are missing a little is the Aaron Long injury. I like Nkosi Tafari. I think he's good.
For sure.
I don't know that they have a 1A center back on this team right now, and I don't know when Aaron Long is back playing his best if he is this year.
Do you think Porteous can be?
I don't. So I think that's been underrated a little, but I think the team's so good that that's fine. Like they'll cover for it. And if they have more possession, it'll make life easier for those guys. We didn't talk about Miami because we know a lot about Miami, but this will be fascinating test of, I love Michele. I like Ayala. I like all these ads. Sun and Buongo running at you is as big a test as there is in MLS. We're going to learn a lot if this team is better defensively or if it's going to take a little while for them to adjust. All right, let's close out the Saturday night. We've got the 10:30 games. Let's start with Portland against Columbus. Rumors coming out over the last few days that potential big addition for Columbus could be Andre Gomez, Portuguese international at Lille right now, was at Barcelona, played well in Premier League as well. I say that in saying, Columbus hasn't really made big moves. Like Wessam Abu Ali last year was the big move, and obviously the coach is the big change. This is a team that is as unknown to me as anyone, and I struggle to put them anywhere in the standings. What do you make of this team as we start the year?
So I have Columbus 8th.
Yeah.
So basically, like I think they finished.
I have them
season.
9th.
Yeah. Because again, we don't know what this coach and coaching staff are gonna do with the players they have. Abu Ali looks pretty promising, formidable. And Diego Rossi, we already know what he can do. Gazdak, never. He could never. I don't know if it's a Gazdak problem, a Nancy problem, but he wasn't a fit.
But he's still there.
Yeah, but maybe that the coaching change can help him be at least similar, not similar, but at least, I mean, not the complete opposite of what he was in Philadelphia, right? I mean, Arste's there, Chambo, Sarowski, Herrera, Camacho is back, Moreira, Admundsen. I mean, this is a really good team on paper. They're still a really good team.
For me, one of the big ones was the loss of Nagby. Like right now, we on our depth charts, and obviously I don't watch preseason as closely as fans of teams do, so I don't know.
Me too.
And it's kind of like whatever it is, what it is. Like, let's see week 1. We have Dylan Chambos and Hugo Picard as their central midfield. Like, that's not a winning central midfield in MLS. And
I think I played Sarowski there.
And you could, but then you can start Malte-Almanson or whatever. That's fine too. It's just for all the good Nancy did, there was 3 or 4 players that were like arguably the best at their position in the team.
Yes.
Right. Max Arfson's one of them.
Yes.
Cucho was one of them for a long time. You could argue Rossi was as like the 2A, and then Nagby was. Aiden Morris was at times. Zawadzki has been. Steven Moreira has been. A lot of those guys I just named are not there. So if Wessam Abu Ali's not that guy, it just feels like there's a hole in terms of pure talent. You add on that, how much can a new coach sort of pick things up and get it rolling? Or it may have been time. Like it may just have time for a new voice and a little bit of a tweak. And I think it's interesting. The wording he used was like, it's going to be similar but different. Like he has the same principles, like you kind of just talked about with Marc Dos Santos, but he's got different ideas that he's going to implement. And maybe that's what some of these players need for this team. Portland on the other side, kind of think they've gone out of the conversation throughout the offseason. So Tom also put this out, which I had kind of missed yesterday, which was they're closing on a deal to sign winger Alexander Arvena from Gremio. Deal would be loan with a purchase. 23-year-old, starred in Chile's top tier before joining Gremio. 16 goals, 7 assists in his final season in Chile.
Yep.
It would be an added talent. Winger, I think, is a weird one, but I guess they have a lot of center forwards. It kind of is the Cabecito replacement, but Portland are an odd team to me. I put them at 7th, and I felt like I put them too high.
I have them 8th, and I don't feel good about it. I mean, I don't feel. I think they can be worse. I think Phil Neville is on the hot seat from week 0.
Yeah.
The way they got. I did that game, the game where they got eliminated in the playoffs against San Diego last season, and it was just like complete destruction. Like it looked like a disjointed team. Like there were players that felt that they don't know what they were doing. like they don't want to be there. I was near the locker room at halftime. The game was done, but still, coming out of the locker room, Phil Neville, you could see him, like the players were coming out of the locker room, and he was trying to, like,
amp them up.
And the players were just like, let's just finish this game and get the F out of here because this is done. We don't. I don't have faith on Kelsey. I'm sorry, he's Venezuelan, but I will play Felipe Mora as long as his legs fall off. I love Felipe Mora. I don't know if Kelsey can be a regular scoring guy in Major League Soccer. He needs a lot of service. Anthony, when he's on the field, he could be a game changer, but he hasn't been on the field lately. I don't know what to do with Velde. He seems to have the right attitude. He's kind of like a hole on the field.
I mean, clearly I'm all in.
And I love that.
Drafted him in everything I've done over the last 2 weeks. I've put him on every list. I'm all in on him, but
I don't. But my thing is that I don't like the midfield. I don't like. I'm not high on Cole Bassett. Diego Charay's another year old. It's
to lose.
I don't. Yeah.
To lose a defensive midfielder in Ayala and add a box-to-box goal scorer in Cole Bassett alongside David Da Costa, who's kind of the same thing, it feels very weird and disjointed. That's the part with Portland that's really hard to understand. Is like, I think ASA wrote this up really well. Like, it's a lot of dribbling players who are direct. They're not creators for others, and there's kind of none in this team. So how does it all fit together is really hard to see. And I do think that pressure is there, which is if it struggles early, I think there's going to be internal panic, and that makes it harder to really find your feet as a team. All right, let's go to the next one. San Diego hosting Montreal. San Diego obviously cruised in CCL earlier already, so they are through to the next round. They face Toluca in that next round. But Montreal, we haven't done a lot about. I put out my piece with The Ball is Round, Andy Coronado up in Montreal. We haven't talked a lot about this team. They're a very big unknown. I will say I don't love the value they gave up for Brian Vera, but Brian Vera being on this team makes them a lot better. He makes a lot of these young players a lot better. It's the type of move that was the right move to make, and I think this team is better this year than they were last year.
I still have them dead last on the East.
Still might be better.
Yes, I mean I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I mean, we already know that the spoon is basically SKC to win. So Montreal is not gonna be the worst team in Major League Soccer this year. I have hopes, and this is gonna sound crazy, and you can shut off the stream right here. But I think Thomas Aviles is gonna be a plus for them. I think he's a young player that got lost in the craziness of Miami, Messi, all the hype, because he was a very hype player when he came in. I don't think he managed the pressure very well, but I think he can be an asset with Brian Vera too, like you mentioned. Prince Owusu up top. It's a proven goal scorer. I hated the Wiki Carmona move. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
I think they got fleas on that one, and Wiki Carmona, Venezuelan, my guy, but maybe as with Tomás Avilés now being in Montreal, no pressure, less spotlight, they can be good. But I don't know what to say about Montreal.
I think so. A lot of this hinges on Ivan Jaime's health, which it sounds like he's still working back from injury through preseason, which is tough. I think Dagger Dan was a good pickup. Again, I think that's just like a good, solid player. I don't know if his ceiling is super high. They didn't have a lot of those last year. And I think my hope is Jalen Neal gets legitimate shots with Brian Vera as his partner. That makes him better. My point being, I hate the Aviles move because Jalen Neal should play there, and like it should be his time to earn and make him the next George Campbell and like do what you should do there. And the Aviles stuff just kind of gets in the way. Like, even if it goes well, he's going back to Miami, then you got to figure it out again. But in saying all of that, like Daniel Rios I think there's just more MLS players in this team, and that makes life easier for young guys if that's what you want to do to develop them, is like giving them a little bit of support. San Diego on the flip side, any big thoughts on where they go year two?
I think there's gonna be great. I have them third in the West.
You think Chucky will end up anywhere else?
I don't know. It looks like not.
Yeah.
who's gonna pick up that salary? Is he willing to like cut his salary and
Right.
go somewhere else? I it's funny because and call me whatever you want to call me, but I knew this was gonna happen. I think I told you. Did I told you like not on obviously not on camera or anything that we were hearing stuff even
Yeah, I
before All
think
Star game
yes.
that the he wasn't like at the locker room and people. What I was surprised the most is that his teammates and the people around him they didn't hide it. Like when you ask about Chucky, like they were flat out told you, no, he's no,
Yeah.
no. He's like, no,
Right.
no.
Which seems
And
evident from them coming out and announcing without a deal in place. Yeah, he doesn't
yeah,
play for us
like
anymore.
dropping his value to like -0.
Right.
But I mean, I still love this team. I think the young core, Bombino is awesome. Manu, I think we're all super high on him. Like maybe one of the most exciting young player in Major League Soccer for this year. They're gonna be great. I'm really excited about what Pedro Soma can do on the midfield. I think he's gonna be awesome, and I think he's gonna be a starter.
Yeah.
With my boy Thurskov, the best 6 in MLS, and Aníbal Godoy, the immortal. And up top, I don't think Dreyer is gonna replicate the season that he had because those were crazy numbers. But still, I think he's gonna have a great season. We'll see what Ins Varksten, if he can be healthy, he can be a reliable goal scorer number 9 in this league. I love the Lewis Morgan pickup. I think if he's healthy, he's gonna play and become a starter on
If
on
he
the left
plays
wing.
25 games, he's going to
my
score
God.
13 goals.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, for sure.
Yeah,
I love Lewis
he's gonna
Morgan.
crush.
Yeah, they're gonna start. I think the Pellegrino for now as a left wing, but
Yeah.
Morgan should be the starter if he can stay healthy. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to San Jose Sporting Kansas City.
Do we
What
have
a
to?
vibe. Week 1. So Sporting Kansas City trading Daniel Shalhoub away. We talked with Chad Smith from the KC Soccer Journal that I was going to put out yesterday. He talked about Shalhoub being a second forward underneath Dayon in preseason, so that clearly has gone away. They just signed Misael Rodriguez, young player who I actually really like, who scores goals from their second team. And they signed Las Berg Johnson from Malmo, 26-year-old central midfielder. Pretty good profile of where he's played, profile of players that have hit in MLS pretty quickly at a solid level. So seems like a legitimate ad for them. So they're only 9 players away from being prepared and ready. It's wild. And then on the flip side with San Jose, they lost Chicho, they lost Espinoza, they lost Joseph. And so far they've only added Timo Werner as we go into week 1, which clearly they're not going to have the next ad done by the time we get there.
Yeah, I think Bruce Arena said yesterday that Timo Werner was not going to be probably not even in the city during the weekend.
Great.
He said that he was expected during the weekend or earlier next week. So no Timo Werner for San Jose on the first week. And I mean, maybe I don't know how long it's gonna take him for to get ready. The only exciting thing that right now that I'm looking forward to San Jose is development of the youngster with Shakiris, especially as the number 10, playing consistently, healthy. I think he's great. One of the most exciting young players. I really like him. But I mean, just the way they lost Espinosa, that's unforgivable. That cannot happen. That a front office cannot make that mistake. That's a fireable offense. The way they lost Espinosa, and
so
not a playoff team, not even close. Can Werner be a machine and score a lot of goals? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
I think I put him as my newcomer of the year because I do think he'll score 15 to 20. And even if Berterame does the same, I think it's going to be more impressive that Timo Werner did it. I have this team 10th in the West. I have less confidence in the defensive improvement as other people do. Yeah. I think Vieira helps, but I still don't trust a lot of this spine to be elite defensively. Timo Werner, I think, helps with that. But like, is this a guy who's going to be a monster pressing on the front line? Have we seen that game in and game out for 5 years?
No.
And if it's not, then and they add a 10, then who's that? And what's the work rate you're getting there? I think Danielle will bounce back a little, but it's still somewhere in the middle. And so, yeah, I landed on 10th. I don't see the huge jump with this team that I know like Doyle does and all of that. SKC I had 15th, but I will say Chad told me this, which I didn't know. SKC is the only MLS original that's never won the Spoon. So that's like their whole, that's their whole goal for the season is to be.
Lock it up. Lock it up. SKC is winning the Spoon. Lock it down.
For SKC fans, I mean, it's got to be backbreaking to lose Shallowy right before the season. The only person connected to the team. So I don't know. I love Jake Davis. I like some of the other young pieces they've added, but they're all going to get to play. That's for sure. With that team. So that closes out Saturday night.
I feel bad for Jovalic, by the way.
Yeah, but you're getting paid millions of dollars to score goals. He's scoring a bunch of goals. Like, you know, I feel worse for other people in the world than I do for him, but I get it. Sunday, we only have 2 games on Sunday. So it's 7 p.m. Eastern time and then 9:15 Eastern time. So the first game is the LA Galaxy against NYCFC. On the NYCFC side, so Talis Magno is out. Pascal Jensen said the expectation is at least 2 more weeks that he is out. And then on the center forward position, which they obviously felt like they had finished with Musa Saila, and then his medical failed. He said, quote, "I don't think it's realistic to see the number 9 we're looking for to be on the pitch this weekend against LA Galaxy. However, quote, the search continues. We're still looking for the right number 9 to support this team." So they know it's a hole, right? They're not hiding and saying, oh, no, we've got the pieces here. But it's one that they're nowhere near filling. What do you make of NYCFC?
I think they're a really good team, and I think they're going to be very similar to what they were last year. I have them 6 in the East. Fernandez Mercado, now from the beginning. I mean, he's a great player. He already showed it. He adapted to the league right away. He was after he came in, and I was speaking with Pascal Jensen, and I was asking him, it's like, hey, because I remember during Leagues Cup, this is a thing that apparently like New Year's Eve likes to do. Like they're super inconsistent. It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
They win 2 games, they lose 2. They win,
and
3,
they did
they
it against like they would beat good teams and then lose to bad teams.
Yeah. So when I did one of their games at Leagues Cup, and I asked Jensen, it's like, what are you looking for right now? And he says consistency. And then I spoke to him again before the playoffs last year, and he said, hey, we spoke in Leagues Cup during consistency, and you seem to find it. And he said, we found Fernandez Mercado.
Nice.
That's what we found.
Yeah.
He was the consistency that we needed. So they're very high on him. I think he's going to be a stellar player, a best 11 caliber player. Usually have a Maxi, Kieran Parks. I really like the team. But again, they need the number 9. But
they need the number 9 for the finishing and the performance. But
yes,
they also
I think
need the number 9.
Magno can be serviceable.
So then the other flip side is though, if with Magno out, there's a chance Mercado Fernandez plays there. So now he's worse because that's not his position.
Right.
And if Talis Magno plays there, he's worse because it's not his position. And if you have the 9, they're 2 of the best wingers, or I don't know, maybe Nico will play inside. They're 2 of the best. And so that's the part to me that hurts this team the most is like, I wouldn't mind to see them go out and get, I don't have a name off the top of my head. Tom Barlow's not good enough. Sergio Santos not good enough. But like, I'm talking like that level to be like, let's just throw a body there so we don't have to play those guys there. And it's not really something this team does. And I don't know that Seymour Reed can be that for 90 minutes right now. And so that's the question mark for him. But I've not talked to Pascal Jensen yet. We got to fix that on the show. But people are really high on him.
Awesome.
I think he seems like one of the best. I don't know if you saw this. Brianna Pinto talked about it on our Kickback Committee show, but they went 5 high on a defensive corner kick in preseason, like just creative ideas and thinking of we'll just attack everyone and then your guys need to mark in space, but that's another conversation. On the LA Galaxy side, so I finished up my standings. I have LA Galaxy at 11th in the West. And I think I felt like I was really I felt correct that I was low on them. Now I'm questioning it more of like the additions of Glesnes and like they're clearly better than they were last year. They started so poorly. I just don't know. There's so many questions in that attack of piecing it all together. But I feel like I probably landed too low on this team and I'm going to regret it. What do you make of the Galaxy?
I have them 7th, and my first draft, right. I have them like 10 or 11th too. Yeah. And then I was looking, and then I remember it's like, oh, wait, no, they got Glesnes and Hack. Mm-hmm. They're going to be better. But the question with Galaxy is this one. Are we getting Peck and Pencil 2024 or are we getting Peck and Pencil 2025?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Right.
And if we're getting Peck and Pencil 2024 or something similar to that, I think this team is going to be really good. And those players are going to be amazing serving Joao Klaus. So I think this team has a potential to be playoff contending. I have them 7th. And Hack and Glesnes, I don't know if, and again, I haven't followed preseason of all the teams, so I don't know where Hack has been playing. We know he can play center back and midfield.
I think there's been shifts between D-mid and center back. Yeah.
But if you start the season with Glesnes and Hack as your center backs, now it gives you more options because, for example, you have Yamane and Yoshida. Sorry, Yamane, no, Yoshida on the bench, you know? Or you can play Yoshida and Glesnes and move Hack to the midfield. It's now you have options, right? Mm-hmm. And you have Royce, who finished the season really strong last season. So I think this team is going to be really, really good and obviously better because you couldn't have been worse than when you were last
that's
season.
The part that's hard is like if they're better, then they're probably a playoff team. And
I have
they are better, which is where I landed. Those question marks, though, around the attackers is the whole thing. I think Klaus makes their life easier.
Yeah.
Royce, as you said, finished the year well. I think Eric Tommy's like one of the most underrated moves of the offseason. I really, really like that. But is it as a 10? Is it as a wing? Like, is his best spot as a winger? So then one of those two's coming off the field and you're not getting the best out of them. I just don't know how it all fits. And I don't know that they're strong enough defensively, even with all that, especially with questions at goalkeeper, to say, okay, well, the attack struggles at times, but we're an elite defensive team to sort of propel us. Okay.
I think Mitrovic is really good.
Maybe. It doesn't feel like I've seen that in MLS yet, but I think it's a possibility for a young goalkeeper to continue to get better and more comfortable. Okay, let's finish with our last game of the first weekend.
I got to talk with Papi in 10 minutes.
Nice. We will be back early on Monday to get you your weekend recap. We're going to be doing that show every Monday. So that is going to be myself and Doyle. We might have some guests pulled in as Papa Tommy is still out there in the world, won his first men's league game last night as a father. So has really like carried the weight of the world on his shoulders as a true adult. We're excited for the weekend. I'll be on Blue Sky the whole weekend. I will be in the Discord. So if you want to subscribe to our Patreon and get you access to our Discord, you can hang out there. You also get access to our depth charts, which you will see will move live a lot over the course of the weekend as we see where does Justin Hack play, where are coaches thinking of things. And I think a lot's been held back, and there's a lot of issues in MLS preseasons of like visas and moving and injuries and all this that we don't get to see a ton of it rolled out. And our final game of the weekend is Seattle against Colorado. One piece of news on the Colorado side, Miguel Navarro has been brought back on loan from Tigre in Argentina, was a solid performer for Colorado originally. Maybe not a hole for them, but an addition in talent. Michele, where do you want to go with this one?
With Colorado?
Either team.
Well, we'll start with Colorado real quick. I think it sounds simplistic, but it's all about Paxton Aronson and what he can do. The reins are his. I don't love the fact that I don't love the fact that he came back the way he came back to MLS. But again, those are personal choices, professional choices that players made. But he decided to come back. He's now a big-time player on the payroll, GP player. And I think the reins, again, of the teams are his. Again, now with Cole Bassett, especially moving on. Navarro up top, he's a goal scorer. He's reliable. But I don't love this team enough to put them in playoff contention.
Okay. So I have them 9th.
I have them 12th.
The West. I think that's fair. I think the Navarro, how long he'll be there, question mark, is big. And I think outside of Paxton, the rest of the performance of creation for him is also big. I don't think Dante Seeley's a given. I don't think Darren Yappy, obviously, yet is a given. Cudi Pietro's not. So there are question marks for me across that attack. I do like what they've done defensively and up the spine. I think it's a solid team. I love their central midfield. Like, if Atencio is not a full-time starter on this team, it's even better. I've always been a fan of Connor Ronan. I don't think he's performed at his best, and obviously injuries have been a part of that. But like the type of player he is, high possession, covers ground. I like that type of player, and obviously they spent some money on Oridian to bring him in. So there's stuff to like in this group, and it feels like they're bought in to Wells. So like I think there's positivity around the group early in the season, and that's going to be big. Can they get off to the right start? Can they sort of play from in front for a little bit this year in the standings? And I think that will be pretty big for this team. On the flip side, Seattle, I don't know, we did the preview with the Seattle guys, and like it feels like what it feels like, which is they have belief, they're good, they know they're good. Any big takeaways from them?
I'm interested to see what they do with Osaze, if they're going to give him the minutes. Obviously, you have all the options. If everyone is healthy, you might assume that Jordan Morris is going to play as the 9. Yeah. And Jesus Ferreira playing as an interchangeable role with Rusnak as an attacking midfielder, or Ferreira playing more as a winger, which I don't love. I think Ferreira should play as a 10, but then where do you put Rusnak, right? Obviously, they brought back Rothrock with he seems that he's going to be a starter, or you can play Jordan Morris there on the left and make room for Osaze up top. And obviously, the big, massive loss of Owed Vargas is going to be felt. But they brought in a good MLS replacement of Hassani Dotson. You still have the leadership and the playmaking of Christian Roldan, my guy. And the back line is the same. The best center back duo, in my opinion, in Major League Soccer, with Jaymar and Reagan, Nuhu, Roldan. I'm going to say this. The team, midfield and defense feels thin. Up top, you have more options. Yeah, you have 1,000 options. A lot of options. And we haven't, I didn't even mention Minongo yet. But it feels thin in defensive midfielders. And after you go, I hated that they sold Baker Whiting.
Yeah, that's the part that to me was very odd, of like there was space for him to play. I think he should play more, because I would have argued that Nuhu's your option at third as center back if one of those guys goes out, because if you have Reed and now that you don't, it makes you a little bit thinner there. But at the same time, my hope is that this is a club that has a succession plan idea of like Stuart Hawkins should start playing in MLS. They've done so well with Tacoma that like who's the next guy up there? And I think that's maybe part of this, because I agree with you. I think in central midfield, probably in the end will feel less thin than we expect, because once Hassani Dotson's playing, you're like, oh, this is like a borderline MLS all-star. He's back. And I think Pekovic probably isn't that far off from being a legitimate MLS starter as well in the right team. And so this group goes from very thin to, I think, pretty solid quickly, if that's the case. But I think all the questions are fair along the back line, and in the attack, I kind of had forgotten about Jordan Morris, and I took him in my draft on Tuesday night. Like, he was there kind of late, and it's like, if this guy's healthy, he's going to score 15 or 20 goals in this team. Yeah. I also am super high on Jesus Ferreira this year. I don't know what happened over the last 2 years, like genuinely confused. But if he's even 60% of the guy he was at his best year in Dallas, if Jordan Morris is healthy and Roldan's there and Alex Roldan's there and like there's so much movement around him, I think he's going to cook on this team. So I'm pretty high on all those guys. I will throw this out there. So they yelled at me for trying to get them in a Shield conversation, because they'll never win the Shield. So they opened the year with Colorado. They then play RSL in St. Louis before that Champions League game where they'll play the winner of Vancouver Cartagenas. Then they play San Jose, then the second Champions League game. Then they play Minnesota, and then they go into the international break and they come out with Houston. it is a very favorable schedule.
Yeah, but we don't know. It's historically they don't start well, which is crazy.
Terribly. So my question is, if they do start well, when does the mental shift come to, okay, it's April, we're first in the West.
Yeah.
We've got a 4-point lead. Like, this is the thing we should focus on.
Yes.
And if that happens, what they're capable of, either way, I put them 4th in the West.
Me too.
They will probably be an MLS Cup favorite when we get to the playoffs in my book. Like, I think they're blessed in that they are who they are. Maybe they could push the ceiling, but maybe not. Okay. You got to go talk to Oscar Pareja. You have to get ready for your game. You will be on La Previa, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. So tune in, Apple TV. Everyone, you can go to MLS's website and figure out how to work all that and where all the games are and what you want to do. And here at Soccer Wives, we're going to keep pumping out the content. So we will finish off with all of our individual team previews. As I said, we'll have that weekend recap show with Matt Doyle early on Monday. So you can tune in for that one. You can get it as a podcast. And now you can start getting things on Sirius Radio via us, because we're going to be sending our shows over there. So if you are in the car or you listen to their app, you can listen to us there as well. We've got NWSL previews around the corner as that season's ready to get kicked off. And now we get to talk about soccer games and stop speculating and figuring out and all that type of stuff and looking at blue sky images of starting lineups in a list and trying to figure out where players play and all of that. Michele, it's always a blast. Thank you for taking the time. I'm glad I kept us to a tight 4 minutes per team so the show didn't go too long.
Absolutely.
And we made it to the end.
Thank you for having me. You know, I love being here, and anytime you want me, I'm here. I'm like Doyle the other day. It's like, I need to podcast. I need to give me a microphone during the week.
You're like,
I have so many takes.
That's what Tom is like in the chat. Thank you to everyone in the chat, by the way.
He's giving takes to his baby.
Watching live. Thank you to all of you for listening whenever you are listening. We appreciate you. We are excited for the season. We feel like we're the best place to experience MLS. So thank you for being here. We'll talk to you again very, very soon.